I will basically today discuss about how to write a good CV. So we will move on. Yeah, we will have a look today about actually a need of CV or a resume. You might wonder why I put resume in this presentation. I will explain that later in the presentation, and also I will explain how a CV differ from a resume, and also I will give you some tips to write a good CV or maybe a resume. So before we go to how to write a CV or a resume, why actually do I or do you need a CV or a resume? Basically, you might think that we only need a CV to job application, but that is not the case. So basically, you know that when we are going for the internship during our undergraduate program, or maybe if you are targeting some trainings or some programs in during your undergraduate time, that time also you may need a CV. Also, once you graduated, some of you might go for the industry. So full-time employment, you need the CV in order to apply for the particular occupation. Same time, some of you might go for academia. As some of you might willing to go to academic career. So you have to do some graduate programs. So in order to apply for graduate programs, you may need a CV or a resume. Also, these are the typical things that we might think that we need a resume, but still we need the resume actually for some other purpose as well. So sometimes I know that most of you are having the LinkedIn profiles, but still in order to have a proper LinkedIn profile or some other professional social media platforms, you should also have a resume. Then you can easily build up your social media profile. And also, resume is a detailed, relevant skill, strength with you, experiences and interests. So finally, peak interest and help you to secure an interview. Basically, ultimately, what we are targeting as engineers or maybe after the graduation to get a good job. So for that purpose, you can research on what are the areas you are interested in, and then you can target for a job. In order to apply and in order to get a interview call, you need a proper CV. Okay. So before I'm explaining about the CV, we can go some comments from my HR manager regarding the this job application process as well as the CV writing. So nowadays, as you might already know, not only the resume is the first impression for any organization to have a look on you, but basically you have the social media profiles and this professional platform. So in HR manager's point of view, we can say that we have to clean up our social media profiles, and we have to have a very professional LinkedIn account. Also, in your LinkedIn account, you can make sure that if you are uploading your CV or if you are keeping your details there, so you have to make it easy to access, because I know some of the LinkedIn profiles are there, or maybe you have these ResearchGate profiles and ORCID accounts. These things are there, but most of the stuffs are not accessible. So when the people are trying, let's say you applied for a particular job, and people are searching about you throughout these social medias, and if they can't access the particular profiles, your profile is actually useless. If somebody can't read at least a few details about you, then your profile is useless. So please make it easy to access, open, read or print. So you can save your PDF and you can attach your CV in the LinkedIn profile as a PDF file or something like that. So also when you are sending your CVs, you should be able to send it as a PDF file rather sending it as a Word document or some other means, because when you are sending it in the Word format, you know there will be some misalignment and so and so. So it will be not good for your target. Okay. So, and also I have seen that many of us, when even I also did this mistake in previous times, many of us have a single resume, only one resume we will prepare at initial stage, and we will send the same resume to every position that we are applying for. But that is not the case. Actually, when you are preparing a resume or a CV, you have to have a you have to first research on the particular company or the institution and about the job role, what are the responsibilities that they are going to give you. So and so you have to have a research on that, and you have to then target your resume for that position. So let's say you are applying for electrical engineer, and same time you are applying to telecom again as a telecommunication engineer, but your degree is electrical and electronic engineering. So basically, you have to have two different CVs. So the resume is if you are applying for these two separate organizations, because in each uh, uh, because it's each job profile is different. Now, when you call for the CEB engineer, you have different assigned duties, and also when you have telecommunication engineer, your assigned jobs are different. You have, so in your CV you should emphasize that these skills I can provide to your organization. So like that. And also the other important thing, don't use form letters and resumes. They are obviously ignored. The forms, letters, and resumes don't use someone prepared already. They are the form uh, resume or the letters, because then simply we can identify from the CV it's not prepared by you own, but still you can use the template, but not the form letters or the resumes. And the very important thing is the grammatical mistakes in your CV or the resume, because we are human beings. We are human beings, and we can make mistakes. So it's always better if you can proofread very carefully your CV or the resume. Maybe you can ask some of your friend to read, or some of your lecturer to read, or some of your supervisor to read. Always try to avoid grammatical mistakes. Actually, the grammatical mistakes should be 0% in your CV. So keep that in mind. You have to proofread very carefully your CV or the resume. Okay. So we will move. These are the sections actually typical resume or CV includes, but not necessarily this each and every section should be included in a particular CV. So let's I think some most of you are in final years, so you know that some of you have already started to hunt the jobs, and you know that how to prepare CV, and you have some experience on that. So you know that basically we have uh, the personal profile details, carry your job objective, summary of qualification or skills, education. So you can see there are a lot of things that we can add for a particular CV or a resume. Okay. So the work experience, volunteer experience, activities and interest, especially your awards and scholarships, and computer literacy or the proficiency. Nowadays, it's very important. And these technical skills, your languages, licensures, certification, professional membership, publication. This publication part will come when you are targeting for a job or a graduate studentship uh, or academic career. So publication are really important. Okay. So you can see still we can add some more sections also for your CV, but later on you will realize that we don't need to add each of these sections for the particular resume or the CV. Also you need to add some references, That also I will discuss later on the presentation, how to add references and do we need to always give the reference or not. So basically, these are the major sections as an overall picture. If you take it, that should include in your resume or CV. Okay. So I told you that I will explain the difference between the resume and the CV. Actually, a resume is not a CV. Okay. So let us discuss what are the differences between these two documents. Okay. So actually, a CV is used to academic and research oriented job search. That means maybe you are applying for a, I can say as academic jobs, like you are applying as a lecturer, you are applying as a senior lecturer, and you are applying as research oriented job means you are applying for a graduate studentship, you are applying for a research assistant position, you are applying for teaching assistant positions in some other countries. So you need a CV. So meantime, resume is used in businesses, non-profit, government, and other type of job searches. That means typically, let's say once you graduate as engineers, so as a maybe as a trainee engineer, or you are searching for some internship, so there, so you can use a resume. So CV actually is flexible on length because there's no such limitations because it's somewhat uh, a detailed document. So there's no uh, length limitations. Okay, so you can actually it's like 3 to 4 pages still, but you can have like 10 pages of a document as a CV still, but it's flexible of length. Okay, but when it comes to resume, basically it should be 1 page. The maximum you can go is 2 pages. Okay, and CV is a record of your academic accomplishments and the credentials. But when it comes to resume, it's not all embracing. You don't need to embrace everything. So it should be actually targeted to a particular job. That's why I already mentioned when you are writing a resume, you should be very clear on what type of job title you are writing this resume. Okay, so keep that in mind when you are targeting for academic jobs or the academic related positions. You can have a CV which is flexible in length, and you can write your academic accomplishments and the credentials. But when you are targeting for the internships, or maybe as engineers, or maybe as some other jobs, you can always have a resume which is maximum 2 pages you can have, and it should be targeted to a particular job or a particular field. Okay, so today's session I will actually tell about what you have to include in a resume, since most of you are undergraduates. So basically CV is an extended version of a resume. So you can have a very clear understanding. Once you have an idea about resume, you can have a very clear understanding about how to write a good CV. But basically I will be targeting on how to write a resume. Okay. So as a one statement, if you can say, a curriculum vitae is a factual record of candidates' qualifications and experience, whereas a resume is a summary of his skill and accomplishment and education. So CV is a factual record of all the qualifications and experience, but resume is a summary. That's why there's the page limit for the resume. Okay. So earlier we discussed the typical sections to be included in a typical CV or a resume. Now I'm talking about most common resume section for an undergraduate. So I think this slide might be interested for you because I'm talking about the most common resume section for an undergraduate. So basically, as you all know, you should write the header or the personal profile. That means personal profile in the sense your name and your email address, maybe your designation and your contact details. Okay. Also the skill summary. You can write it as an objective maybe. So you can write a short description about your skill summary, and that is actually you have to very precisely target the job, because that is the very first section the person who is going to read this going to see. So you have to very clearly write a summary, skill summary. The person who is reading should feel that this candidate is very suitable for us. So that is the way we should uh, target target the job and write the skill summary. So then actually you can write the education history, but still, for my opinion, I think you don't need to add this our O level year or something. But still, basically, I have seen in many of the resumes you add your tertiary education and secondary education and these things. So the secondary education will come as O level and A level. The tertiary will be your university degree. So it is not necessary to add always the O level year or something, because but as a fresh graduate, yes, you can add, but when you are moving on, you don't need actually. Okay, then your working experience, that should be in chronicle order. So from the latest jobs to previous job, so you have to write with particular months and years and what is your job title and maybe the organization or the company. Then your volunteer experiences, and then you can write your activities and interests. Maybe you might get some awards or the scholarships during your undergraduate period or some school period, and then your skills. So these are the typical sections that will be including in a undergraduate resume. Okay. And also why I mentioned the last statement is this section you you use will depend upon your objective. That is actually dependent, because I can't say these only these things should be included, but these are the sections which can mostly used. Okay, so but still maybe you can decide on your job, the job that you are targeting, or what company you are applying for. So there's no actually one size fit for all resumes, but you can decide on depending on your requirement. Okay, so these are the things I will explain how to build a good resume. So basically, we will, when we are trying to write a resume, we will think of writing the job descriptions. But you have to write actually list of successes, skills, or the strengths, not a list of job description. Let's say you are writing about your previous task assigned, but don't write this. Somebody assigned this one and I did, but you have to write it as a we succeeded on this, we have this skill, we have this strength. And most importantly, the second bullet point, focus more on how you did your job, not what duties you performed. Basically, most of the CVs I'm seeing, they will say that I did this, I did that, like that. But what you have to mention is how you perform that particular task. So you have to very precisely say that how you did the job, not what duties you performed. Okay. And also you have to balance people's and technical skills or the qualifications. I think that you can understand. And also balance between detail and brevity. It shouldn't be very short, it should be very long also. So that's what I say. Detail and brevity means that it's 1 to 2 pages typically, but it should be balanced. Okay. And also most importantly, visual pleasing. This is very, very important, because when somebody see a resume or a CV, we will have a very clear picture about the person. That is the very first impression. As I already mentioned, your social media profiles also are an impression, but when you're targeting a job, the first thing your employer will see is the CV or the resume. So it should be visually very pleasing. It should be consistent, concise, and should be very professional and uncluttered. Other thing, always you should accompany it by a cover letter. Don't send only the resume. This is also one of the mistakes that we are doing. If normally when we are applying for a job, we fill the application and we attach the CV and just send it. Don't do that. Please try to attach a cover letter addressing the HR manager or whatever the person that you are addressing, and you have to have a cover letter. Okay, so those are the things you can follow to build a good resume. Okay, so what are the skills and do I have any? To be honest, sometimes when you are graduating, you might think that I don't have any skill. Most of you have the same feeling. I can realize that when we are graduating also we feel the same, but still it's not that what you actually you have some technical skills, you are gaining something from the faculty, but don't worry, it is actually the competencies you need to perform the task required in the job. Actually, when you are applying for a job, you have to very carefully read about or research about the particular job. What are the assigned jobs? You know, when they are calling for the application in the advertisement, they will mention about particular job description. So from that description also, you can have a rough understanding about what are the tasks you have to perform. So then you can write the things that you did in your undergraduate life as competencies. So you may have some hard, soft, technical, transferable, employability, etc., etc. But still, you will feel that I have lack of experiences. So maybe you didn't go for any competitions, no any programs, uh, some research activities. You will feel that I am lack of that. But still, in the faculty or in the university life, you gain some skills. So you may be sometimes lack of experiences, but still you are, if you are very strong with skills, then you can simply target at the job. Okay, that I wanted to explain this because most of the university students, when they are graduating, they will feel that I don't have any experience, so what I can write in my CV. No, that is not the case. You have some computer skills, you have some analytical skills, you have some research experiences. So these things you can include. You do some coursework projects. From there, you gain some knowledge. You have some programming language knowledge, this and that. So you have if you can if you are very familiar with some simulation platforms like MATLAB, PowerWorld, Proteus, like that. So you can list them as your skills. Still, you can be lack of experience, but you can be full with skills. Okay. So the second point, that previously we discussed how to build a good resume with what we should do and how to build a good resume. This slide I wanted to explain what we shouldn't do, what we should not do. So do not include. You might wonder when you are seeing the very first bullet point, references. In a resume, actually, if they didn't request for any referees, you don't need to add. Maybe you can write references available upon request. But if they didn't request, you don't need to simply add the references. Okay. Then you don't need to mention your age. And also, is in a resume, you don't need to add a photo also. Okay. Personal detail in the sense here, not like your name and other stuff, but you should not include your what do you call NIC number, your personal maybe if you don't want to share your personal or the home mobile number or your other family details, you don't need to add. Okay. So basically, personal details in a resume you should include is your full name or name with initials and your contact address and your email address and your mobile number. That is more than enough. Okay. And don't use small font sizes. sometimes you will use very small font sizes in order to like it's I say no already it should be 2 pages, but don't use actually very small font size. Actually it's better if you can use it larger than the 10 points. Okay, actually 12 is the number, but don't go beyond 10. Don't add excessive or irrelevant information in detail. Okay, you don't need to add each and everything that you did in the university, and you don't need to write the paragraph in your resume, because it's a very short document where you specially target a particular job. Okay, another one is, so now let's say you are applying for the second job, don't add the reason for the leaving previous job. It's not necessary. You can still mention it as you work there, and don't mention within brackets that I leave because of this reason. So you don't need to add such sections. Okay. So let's move on. So this is I already explained. Make sure it's targeted. Okay. So analyze each point listed in the job description, what actually they are looking for. So you have to write I will give you some keywords in the next slides. So you have to use that power words. Then that words will display your strength. Okay. So pull out keywords or the power words and use them in your application or the resume or the cover letter. So some of the organizations, they have the applicant tracking system. So applicant tracking system, first your application or the CV or the resume will be reviewed by a software. So they will actually search for some words. So for the matching. Okay. So that you had to very precisely select the words or the technical terms which is suitable for the your particular job. And also in your CV or the resume, you should emphasize that, or you should prove that you are the best candidate for the particular job. Okay. Maybe you are not, but you have to show it. You have to show it. You are the particular candidate for the, or the best candidate for the particular job. Okay. Yeah, these are the action words actually you can use for a resume. So let's say I'm mentioning it, I actually get it from the internet, and let's say you are, when you are writing your technical skills or consulting skill, leadership skills, communication, or the problem solving. So all these skills you might have, but not the same power words you are going to use for to describe the each and every skills. So you can see there may be like in 2 sections similar words also can be there. That is not a problem, but still have a look on this. So when you are describing your technical skills, you can use this type of like adapted, applied, maybe diagnosed, implemented. So likewise, consulting skills also, I'm not sure undergraduate might not have the consulting skills, but still maybe during if you are doing some programs to schools, you should have. And leadership skills, you are working as the president to the ESU, secretary of the ESU, IEEE chapter chairman. So likewise, administered and likewise. And communication skills or the problem solving skills. So have a look. I will share the presentation with maybe the ESU. You can have a look. So try to use this set of words when you are writing the, or when you are preparing your resume or the CV. Okay. So that is about the technical details or the details that you are going to add in your CV. So one mistake actually I also identified, I have seen some of the resumes of my students and some of engineering faculty students as well. So this formatting also one issue with them. So basically nowadays people used to simply download a template from internet and simply put their details, but that shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't, it should not be a very fancy type CV, but it should be attractive. That is true. But there are some standard formatting that you should follow. Okay. Always use a standardized font. Like I will show two different type of CVs as example. So there are something you have to use the standardized form like Times New Roman or Calibri. Likewise, you can choose a standardized font. Okay, and also keep the important or the relevant information at the top. So if you give your relevant details in the last page of the or the in the end of the resume, there's no point. So page rules are more flexible, but still resume should be limited to 2 pages. And also when you are printing or when you are submitting as a soft copy for an interview, let's say you are applying in an online portal, make sure that the cover letter and resume is a one document. You convert it to PDF and make it as a one document. Also, when you are writing your cover letter, use headings like your own personal letterhead. That doesn't matter. You don't have a logo, you don't have a colorful letterhead, but still prepare a letterhead according to you, according as it's like your own letterhead. So consider using it your cover letter to make a cohesive application. It's okay. You can have a very nice letterhead for you can put your name and then you can have it. Don't worry that you don't have any logos to put or something like that, but still you have to have your own letterhead. Okay. Yeah, as a summary, the few steps that we can follow, keep it simple. Don't make it very comprehensive because not the company people or the organization HR will receive hundred of applications. They are not going to simply read every application that they are receiving. They will just have a surface reading. So it should be very simple. At a glance, it should visualize that this person is very suitable for our organization. Mention only the relevant facts. Don't mention the uh, irrelevant. Yeah, maybe that show that the facts will be very important to you, but you still don't. If it is not required for the particular job, don't write it. Okay, and make sure that you update your CV regularly, because I know some people will write the now if you graduate in last year still you are using the same CV, means there's a problem with you. You have to update, you have to gain something during 1 year. Something should happen, no? So you have to have a updated CV, and also make sure that your contact address is always updated. In our country, I don't think there are much changes, but still, if you go for higher studies somewhere, so you have to update your address. And also, I earlier also mentioned, please try to attach a cover letter. Actually, it's a must. This is the lacking part I'm seeing in our country. When the undergraduates are applying for the jobs, they are not attaching a cover letter. They simply fill the uh, what do you call the application, and then they attach the CV and just post it or apply. Don't do that. To write a covering letter. So I will talk about few steps for the covering letters as well. So when you're applying for a particular job, always include the cover letter. So since you have limitation in your resume to 2 pages, you can explain, you can add some value or expand something about your resume, what the some details about your resume in the cover letter as well. So cover letter is a thing that it's actually giving an introduction about you. Okay, use it. So sometimes you might feel that okay, this resume only 2 pages, I didn't add everything, but still you have the cover letter, you can explain it well, but make sure that it's a one-page document, but still you have some chance to explain. Be clear and concise. Don't use overly formal languages also. This is another mistake. We will sometimes think that these people are very formal and official. We need to write very formal letters. That's not the case. Be very clear and concise. And you have to explain what you can do for them. Don't just tell that I did that, I did this, like that. You know the job role of the particular targeted job, and you explain that how you can perform it. Okay. Never send a form letter. This is actually, I'm requesting you, don't send the form letters. Somebody's letters don't send. You prepare your own letter. You write it. You spend some time and you write it. Okay. I'll give you some examples. So the cover letter format, business or the formal format. This is the one most of you are going to use. Okay. So basically we can have one like 3 to 4 paragraphs for a cover letter. So the cover letter, I am sure that you know how to write official letters. You should have a header, address, date, and salutation. So that will be in the top, that you know. Okay. So the paragraph 1, you can introduce yourself and your interest to the particular organization. So show that you have done a research about the particular company. You have identified the task that they are doing, the jobs they are doing, what are the people, the same people are doing in the particular company. So, and also you have to mention that you have identified the particular goals and objectives of the particular company, and you have to mention that how it's matched with your objective. You have to mention that very clearly. And then the paragraph 2 and 3, if you need to write 2 paragraphs, you can highlight your experiences with the particular organizational goal and objective and the particular job role that you are applying for. Also, you include your successes and soft skills as well. Don't think only the technical details. These industry people are looking not only for the technical details, but also they will be looking for the soft skills as well. So closing paragraph, that will be the last paragraph. So you keep a very strong conclusion that you are the best candidate for this particular job. That's all in the final paragraph or the closing paragraph you can add. And then you have to place your signature with name. Okay. Again, what you should do in cover letter and what you shouldn't do in the cover letter. So do address to a named individual. You can address to HR manager or somebody. Use MS to address woman unless you know. This is very important. I also learned this because sometimes we don't know whether she is Miss or Mrs. So you can use this MS dot to address the woman unless you know that she prefers Miss or Mrs. That is also very important. So use simple business language, provide your contact information. That actually you can write. I ask you to prepare a letterhead now, so you can provide it there. So follow the format of a standard business letter. Keep your letter to 1 page. So these things actually you can read. I already explained. So the important points are actually minimize I statements, monotonous sentence structure, and rambling or boring text. Use action verbs, that the power words you can read, and also make sure that you proofread your letter as well. Okay. And yeah, be brief to the point. Okay. And these are the things actually you should not do. Send your resume without a letter. Send the written material with typos or smudges. Don't do that. It's very bad. Send a photocopy of the letter. Don't do that. Send a form letter. And you should not be very negative or humble, like you are requesting the job. You have to write in a very professional way. And don't try to emphasize that what the employers actually can do for you. It's not the case. It's true that you have the rights, but don't try to explain it in your cover letter. Okay. Don't say anything about your lack of experience. Don't include false or unproven claims about your abilities. And don't try to all once this also sometimes people are doing once you applied the without giving them considerable time, don't try to follow up with them. So once the application is received, they will contact you. Wait for the employers to follow up with you. Okay. So I told you I will share you two CVs, which is a good CV and a bad CV. So this is an example for a good CV. You can see he is only mentioning his mobile number, email address, and the name and the contact address, and he write a personal profile statement. So he specifically mentioned about this IT position, and he explaining it very well. And you can see he's using the power words, implementing major systems like that. So, and his education skills you can see here, and see the employment history in chronological order from the present to the later one, and you can see his skills also. So you can understand that by seeing the, you can compare it once I shared the bad CV example. So you can see he used the proper fonts, font sizing, everything. Let us see why this is what makes this CV very effective. It has a great format and layout, making it easy to read. You can feel it, no, when you see the particular CV, and bullet points and short sentences and appropriately used. The CV is fully tailored to the job the candidate is applying for. And also, this is very important nowadays. People are thinking that if it is very colorful and people will get attracted, it use minimal amount of colors and designs to improve the CV's presentation and visual appeal. It include all the information a standard CV should contain. And also, when you can see here, the date format is the same that he is using in all throughout the CV. The same format for the date is used throughout the sections. Okay. So let us see a bad curriculum. So now I think you feel the difference. You can see he's adding a lot of personal data, gender, marital status, this and that. This is, and you don't need to actually mention it as CV in the top. Okay, and you can see the font that he's using is not a standardized format. Okay, and the references how he's giving, I enjoy, like that, going to the gym meeting like this. Okay, so what makes this CV ineffective? At first glance, the CV example look very generic, dull and boring. You can see it's very general. There's nothing important like that. See the way he is writing his employment details. Okay, and it's poorly written and badly structured. That's also true. The CV contains page statements which are not supported by real world examples. Also, the CV contains too much irrelevant and outdated information that you can realize actually. So the layout, presentation, and information are not satisfied, and the font also inappropriate and difficult to read as well. So the people should read this. Okay. So those are the things which make this CV ineffective. Okay. So as a summary, cover letters and resumes should showcase your skills, but also your personality. I think you can understand this statement. It should show that you are the best candidate for the particular organization or the particular job from your technical skills, and it should showcase that you have a very good personality. They should be targeted, ensure that the relevant experience is highlighted. This is very, very important. It should be targeted. Don't use the same resume. You can use the same details, but when you're writing your objective, the skills, use a targeted. Change it according to the job requirement. Prove the hiring committee that you are the best candidate for the job. That is a must. then at least they will call for you the interview. Also, the resumes are living documents, so they will and should change, not as just to add new experience, but depending upon the types of your position that you are applying for also. So you might think that updating CV means only when you gain something annually or month wise. You are going to a new job, finish some diploma, you finish some postgraduate program, you participated in some foreign workshops. Not only that, but also you have to change or the update your resume depending on the position that you are applying for. Keep that in mind. That's it I wanted to share with you. So I hope this is actually you got some idea about the CV writing. So you can ask any questions. Simple tips to maintain a LinkedIn account. Yeah, don't like you can actually in the LinkedIn account you can add your professional developments or the courses that you have followed, if possible your publications and the accomplishment certificates that you know nowadays IEEE and this online things are there, so you can do that one. So you can add, so you know how to handle the professional profile. You have to only add your skills, or you have to showcase your skills and accomplishments. So the next question, do we need to attach a cover letter as a separate PDF or it is in type in the email? Not as a separate PDF. As I said, you can merge your resume and PDF as a one document, okay? So that at a glance, the person who is reading can read. Meantime, when you are writing, applying online, similarly, you have to, not all the things that you include in the cover letter, but still you have to have a short description as in the email body as well. Don't just type the subject and just send it. Please address to somebody and properly write. Okay, it should be a one document. So yeah, cover letter means that should come first. When attaching a resume and cover letter, we should one be attached first mean cover letter, because in the cover letter means the name itself says no, it's a cover letter. That means you are attaching a cover letter for the particular application. So the first thing should be cover letter, then your maybe your application, then your resume. Or if it is only application without application, your cover letter and then the resume. How to address mail that send the resume? I think you are asking about when you are sending through email. So that means you can write as actually maybe you don't know for which person you are sending. So you can write like dear sir or madam, dear sir slash or madam, or if you are writing to the HR manager, dear HR manager this company. But I think it's better if you can write dear sir or madam. Okay, is there any standard to follow the format like Times New Roman, line is payment? Yeah, as I mentioned, you can always use a standardized language, that is a must, but the spacing and these alignments that you can decide. Only font size and the font is important, but spacing is important. But you know, typically for a document how we are using, so you can use 1.5 or 1.15. That is not an issue. That, but make sure that you follow the standardized font and the font size not less than 10. Yeah, I think I almost answered to all the questions. Yeah, I think that's it. So thank you very much for joining.